Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Roush. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com, photo, video, digital media production. Today we are discussing the second episode in the You Season 3 universe, or franchise, or whatever the hell you want to call it. This episode is called So I Married an Axe Murderer. This is going to be just a kind of a quick recap, initial thoughts and feelings of the second episode. Would have assumed by now you've at least watched up to this point, Season 3, Episode 2. So this episode is Joe and Love try couples therapy, but their issues may need more than counseling, and their friction isn't the only thing they need to make disappear. So, continuing on from the last episode, Love decides to take an axe directly to the neck of her real estate agent, Natalie, who just before dying had been offering her a place to plant her new bakery. And so I feel like right off the bat, we have a lot of evidence implicating Love and Joe at least being around Natalie at some point. There's a lot of people in the series that have already seen them interact and talking together and having some sort of connection. And so alongside them having, kind of like this little bit of checkered past that I believe that Shelley is trying to uncover a little bit, I definitely think that the strings and things will begin to unravel for these two characters. I like this episode slightly better than the first one, mostly because of the pacing in this one. This one is shot in a flashback mode, or a flashback scenario, I guess, and it's dealing with the repercussions of their Bonnie and Clyde-ness in a therapy session and dealing with parenthood. So a big chunk of this is them sitting down with a therapist, figuring out, how to work as a team. And we find out that they really don't trust each other at all. And even through the episode, as they work through it, they still don't 100%. They have not learned their lesson by the end of this. So, I like this episode better than the first one because of the flashbacks, because there is this hook of, damn it, Love has, made an impulsive kill. And I think I was calling Joe impulsive a lot in the first episode. They really both are. And, sometimes they can be more detailed oriented than not. This time they did not take into consideration that the person they had killed, Natalie, her husband, has essentially a ring tracking device that shows heart rate, blood sugar monitor, all this types of stuff, all through a ring. So there's a possibility, we don't know yet, but her ring might have stopped showing a heart rate when Natalie was, hitting the jugular with an axe. And so there is that is the initial hook, that there might be a lot more strings attached to this specific murder than what it is normal. And so Joe he's trying to leave this life behind. Love, I think she just wants the attention of her husband, is what it really comes down to. This episode does feel a little bit like words of affirmation shown in a television setting. It's like, almost feels like this is speaking towards couples that are having kind of a tough time. And I could definitely see people taking the words that are, said from the therapist to heart and, working as a team. I do think that it's almost like ironically, it's therapeutic to hear that from a therapist on television, what might actually help you in your real life with having difficulties with your spouse, especially under the guise of being parents. or not under the guise, but actually being parents, on, watching people become parents on television versus actually becoming parents in real life. Um, the mirroring of it can become uncanny. Um, in the similarities is what I'm saying. So, a couple of things I need to bring up is this new boy that has come out of nowhere. It's Dylan Arnold plays Theo, who is who's Scott Speedman's son from another marriage. It is that dude, that husband's name, Natalie's husband's name's Matthew. Um, Theo is definitely hitting on Quinn. He is trying to get all up in that. I'm telling you, Theo needs to cool his jets before he ends up. His ass is literally going to be in the glass box. I think we need to make some bets on who's going in the glass box. So, based off the cast of everyone that we've seen in the first two episodes, I'm gonna go ahead and say Theo is gonna find out, some real intense stuff. He's going to get way too close to Love, and either Love or Joe is going to have to throw Theo in the glass box. We'll just call it the box. Good chance that Scott Speedman ends up in the box. You don't want an angry Scott Speedman in a box. He'll be flipping, bouncing the hell off of everything. He's always that dude always plays really intense, really well. I like that. He plays like cool but intense at the same time. Like he's like he always feels like he's having to deal with something, but it's like he doesn't want to put it on you, kind of thing. It's like, he's like, I'm doing something right now. I don't want to don't want to, piss you off, but that's what Scott Speedman kind of portrays, in my opinion. Toddy Gabrielle as Marine. She is the finest librarian I've ever seen in any portrayal of anything. I forgot to mention her in the first episode, that her kind of having this, one or two lines, I was like, this lady is gorgeous just to be standing there for, one or two lines. And I had no idea she was going to be in the series longer than the Natalie character, because I thought the Natalie character was going to be kind of the seducer for Joe. I think Joe is going to be seduced by Maureen. I think she's gorgeous, and I think that they kind of have some really good rapport. And so let me see if there's anything else. I think that's about it. So I think Theo's going to get too close to Love. Maureen's going to get too close to Joe. Dottie, the grandma, I really don't have any clue about her. She might, she's pretty young and fine too. I'm not going to lie. Saffron Burrows, she could easily be in the same. I think she's about as old as Scott Speedman, so maybe they might be hollering at each other. I could see like Speedman trying to holler at somebody else, like him not giving a shit about his, dead wife. He's like, well, fuck her, kind of thing. But we don't really know too much about this character. So, yeah, it's a good episode. Like I said, the pacing in that first one was really dragging its feet for me in some of the love scenes. I was like, all right, I get it. They're not thrilled about being parents. They're not thrilled about being together. They're not thrilled about having a body in the basement. But now we have some we're on the same team. It feels like this second episode really gets everybody back on track, and we have an idea of where the season's going to go. I do kind of feel like they probably could have mashed this first and second episode into one. It does feel a little bit long, in my opinion. But the second one, I hope, determines the pacing for the rest of the season. Anything else we need to check out? Like I said, I enjoyed the therapist talk. Sometimes therapy talk in television shows can be a little bit too much to handle, or it doesn't feel like it goes anywhere. I feel like this was good in the way that it was told, with interweaving, oh, you're not actually murderers, and then actually finding out that hard cut to them like building a glass box in their basement for where they're eventually going to throw some people later in. And they do have the keys hidden in separate locations for if they try to throw each other in there, just to show that the trust is not out. It's still not there. They may be on a team, but they're not playing 100% with each other. So, yeah, like I said, technicals all looks good, sounds good. Like the music. I don't think I talked too much about the music in the previous cast. But yeah, it is. It's definitely a good one. I need to see. Some people are saying, okay, so top reviews. It's great. I'm loving the pissed off, hate my life, then right back to business attitude that Joe's most inner thoughts love. Joe's most inner thoughts. Love it. Cracking me up some too. I agree. Joe's inner monologues. Are getting better and more witty as they go. I feel like sometimes they feel like just lines. Probably at the beginning of this season one, it felt like lines that he was of thoughts that he was thinking throughout the day, and it wasn't necessarily immediately to the moment. But I do think they're writing and curtailing more of his thoughts to the moment. Like they were talking about how one dude reminds him of like a Neville Longbottom character, kind of a loser that hasn't really done too much. But then he changes his thoughts and his inner monologue almost interchangeably as this guy's talking to him, which feels good. It feels like we're actually in his head. Even more in real time than just you kind of going along the day with him. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm going to continue on. Like I said, I can't promise episode podcasts for each of these episodes because of just don't have the time for all of that. But I hope you like these first 2 episode recaps. Let me know how to improve. Let me know what you thought about the second episode. Let me know what you thought about the season, predictions, who's going in the box, everybody going in the box. It kind of takes the wind out a little bit of putting one of the 2 in the box, thinking one of the 2 are going to be in the box, but maybe one of them might. But yeah, I think biggest 2 people, maybe 3 that we might lose. And by the end of the season, Sherry is not looking good. She looks so displeased with having Love interact as having Love as a baker on her street or whatever, in her neighborhood, not up in here, not happening for Sherry. Theo gonna get too close to Love, so that's gonna be bad news bears. And Speedman, the thing is he's a tech guy, so he's gonna be able to have a lot of breadcrumbs for if anything happens to him. So we got to kind of keep an eye on that. Anything else? Oh, I did like the little birthday party they went to. I thought there was some funny rapport between the guys and stuff like that. When they really try to punch up the comedy, I think it does work. Which was another thing. I didn't find myself really laughing in the first episode. I was like, oh god, this is like miserable to watch a little bit. Like from the standpoint of like the worst parts of parenthood, I guess. The no sleep, the constant changing, the constant bickering. I was like, this is like a lot to handle. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to binge this all in these episodes super fast. If it's gonna be just like, the dangers of the warnings of about to be in a parenthood, that type of thing, with somebody that you were not interested in. It's like, oh my goodness. So it didn't feel like that by the end of this episode, which is what I'm liking. We are on a team, and yeah. Let me see. Anything else? I think that's about it. All right. Let me know what you thought about the episode, the review, and check LuckyDogPodcast.com. Check out Patreon.com/LuckyDogPodcast for the reviews early. All of the Patreons get the podcasts early, reviews of movies over 5 years old, the full library. All those options are different tiers on patreon.com/LuckyDogPodcast. Once again, subscribe on YouTube, thumbs up, do what you can to support. Every subscription is approximately, 0.01% of going to 1,000 to be able to be monetized. I would really like to be able to be monetized as soon as possible so that we can get some revenue generated for the channel. So anything you can do to support the podcast would be extremely beneficial. Thank you for being a loyal listener, and yeah, take it easy.